All right, let's call the meeting to order. Rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilwoman Schott, would you please lead us in prayer?
Heavenly Father, you have entrusted us to be the stewards of our community. We ask that you guide our hearts and minds as we make decisions that will affect our residents. We ask you to bless our community with peace and prosperity. May we always be mindful of the needs of our residents and the entire community. We ask that you protect our police department, our fire department, and all of our employees as they perform their duties. We also ask that you bless the members of our military, past and present. We thank you for giving them the courage to serve. We pray that you will protect them all and return them safely home. Thank you for the many blessings that you've given us and keep us ever mindful of them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Councilman Hartman is absent this evening.
Make a motion, please, excuse me.
Second.
Bennett? Yes. Fair?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
Minutes?
Motion for the minutes for September 24th and October 2nd.
Second.
Bennett? Yes. Fair?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
I abstain on the 24th and yes on the 2nd.
Got it.
Bills?
Motion.
Second.
Bennett? Yes. Fair?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
Hourly workers' time report. Fireman's fund, did I see one of them
Yes.
Two of them.
It's two.
there?
Motion for the fireman's time.
Bennett? Yes. Fair?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
Okay, Deb, when you're ready, you can do your report.
To remind everybody, I'll be out of town Wednesday the 17th in Twinsburg for my class. One of the contacts from the Canton Chamber of Commerce is the Aflac Company, and they contacted me with interest for our employees to sign up for Aflac. They've had Aflac in the past, I also have it. It's something that I can deduct from their paychecks, but they pay for it, we don't. It's an entire policy that's paid for by the employees, should they choose to sign up. It can be full-time or part-time, but they have to work a minimum of 19 hours a week to qualify for Aflac. This is something you want me to bring to their attention again or not?
Well, it's a benefit to them, right?
Benefit to them.
Fully paid by them.
Yeah, I'd say you should bring it up to them again.
You wanna vote on that?
I'll make it a motion.
Second.
Bennett? Fair?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
I got a question on it, Deb. Do all the employees have to sign up for it in order for them all to be eligible, or can it just be a few, or one, or two?
From what I understand, just in a quick conversation I had, a minimum of three
Minimum of three?
can join. It can be full-time or part-time. They can pick out any of the policies that Aflac offers, but they need to work if they're part-time at least 19 hours a week. Bringing back again, Fairless Food Cover for holiday donation. We give November, December for the food cupboard and the churches. Are you ready to vote on that tonight to discuss it or not?
How much do we usually give each?
We give, I believe it's the food cupboard is $500, they either keep it there or split it with the toys. And then, $100 each we've been giving to the churches,
How many churches are there?
3,
Three.
3.
I'll make a motion that we move
Okay,
donations.
what three do you give to?
The Lutheran, Methodist, and Believers Assembly.
Okay, what about the one after that?
At the Legion.
I know nothing about that church.
Amazing Grace is the name of it. They've been there for a while.
Yeah.
That's about all I know about it, is they meet at the Legion.
I knew they met at the Legion, and one time I had somebody contact them for a function or something, and the church people never called them back.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know anything about that. If you wanna make it 4, make it 4.
I'll make it for the 4 if we get anything back from it.
Okay.
For all 4 churches, then. I'll amend it for that.
And 500 to the food cupboard.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion by McKinney.
Second.
Bennett. Fair.
Yes.
McKinney.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
And Schott.
Yes.
Then the last thing that I have on that is, Tammy Lucas contacted me the end of last week regarding holiday hams. She reminded us that before long, if we're gonna do hams with her, we'll have to get her a list.
Do we still have the list from last year? Can we just update that one?
I think Mrs. Bethany did it for us, but we'll have to still update it,
Yeah,
yeah,
because there's been some turnover.
turnover changes, but you still need to vote if you're going, how did we do that last year? Did we do it for everybody? I couldn't
Yes.
remember.
Everybody but Franny
Oh,
won.
that's right.
That's all time, my goodness.
Did we do that for both holidays or just the one?
This is for Christmas.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Bennett? Yes. Fair?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
Wait a
Randy
minute, wait a
just
minute.
shocked me.
Hey, not allowed to
Bailey
vote
voted
while
yes
I'm
on
down?
that?
The older he gets, and the
I
closer
didn't
he
know.
gets to meeting his creator,
All
the more
right.
compassionate he's gonna become.
Oh, he's getting one this time.
This is a day in history.
Oh, he's getting one.
Oh, yeah.
We need to call the news.
Barb will be in.
That'll make the headline.
We'll have to have her Sadonga, she might have a regular drop, she finds out he's compassionate.
Okay, legislation. I have 3 pieces of legislation. The first is resolution number 1813, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor of the village of Beach City, Ohio to sign the contract with GE and Crawford for the 2019 yearly services.
Make a motion.
Third
Let her
reading.
finish reading.
Oh.
The third reading, okay. I'm sorry, you made a motion, Bailey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Bennett? Yes. Fair?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
That'd be your third reading of resolution number 1814. A resolution to authorize the mayor of the village of Beach City, Ohio to execute an agreement with Lexipol LLC.
I'll make a motion to pass.
Second.
Bennett? Yes. Fair?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
Each of you has a copy of a document that looks like this. It's a joke. We call it the green sheet from the auditors. And this sheet, I think I read it on the top of yours, maybe it says green sheet. It's behind, there you go, it's behind the email from the auditors. This information is, it tells us about what they're going to be collecting for us for the levies. It's an estimate that I use in doing my budget and my appropriations. It is also the information that they are required by law to do a resolution and send it to us that we pass, accepting and approving these rates of the levies, that they're correct every year if they're late. They sent the email requesting that it be done and completed in October, and we got it last week. So, it would be resolution number 18-15 resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. This is how it looks every year.
Were those amounts correct?
I can't tell you if they're correct to the penny because the amounts change every year depending on the value of a home,
Okay,
depending if they pay back taxes. Sometimes we get more than what it says we're going to get, but this is the figures we use that they provide to us.
and they need this back this month.
They asked to have it back this month.
I make a motion we suspend the rules.
Second.
Bennett? Yes. Thayer?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Shutt?
No.
Motion to pass.
Second.
Bennett? Yes. Thayer?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Shutt?
No.
Is that one that comes up every, time,
This every year.
every year?
And it's already
In it-
late,
It is always.
then maybe we need to contact those people. I know
It
it's
doesn't do,
Stark County.
it doesn't do any good. Actually, they've been contacted by our auditors question
How late they send it?
how late they send it, and they have to send a notice out saying they're going to be late. And they do it every year. It's just that they're,
Is this guy elected?
who is it? Is it?
John Oates.
No.
Well, whoever his boss is that's elected needs to be.
Well, it looks like they did it on July 17th, 2018.
This is the green sheet he gave us in July, but it corresponds with this is what it
Right.
is. Yeah.
You'd
And I
think they
look-
would want to have it.
Well, yeah, they do every community. They're not doing one or two, they're doing every municipality,
In Stark County.
every library, yes. It's just tough to get them done. Yeah. And if you've got someone who wants to complain, have a financial committee work on it.
That's what I just said.
Go ahead.
McKinney Shot
I
and
know,
Fair.
I realize that.
And that's all I have.
All right,
Work
thank
on
you,
that
Deb.
here, Mr.
Yeah.
McKinney.
We're just saying, you're the chairman, you just work on that and get it.
Nobody was here to speak.
Nobody here to speak.
Fire department, do you have anything tonight?
I got just a few things.
We have no
Uh,
money.
Calls year to date for the fire department's 219. As of the same date last year, we were at 221. All the big trucks are back, the two pumpers and the tanker all passed really good with pump tests. No problems as far as maintenance with them 3 units. 138's also back. We did run into a problem with 138. There was a broken water valve and filter housing on a truck. I can't prove if they did it or not, but regardless, they're coming in tomorrow at 9 AM. The truck's usable, we brought it home. They're coming in tomorrow. They're not charging us to come up to us, and they're not charging us labor, but I can't swear that they're not gonna charge us for the part. So that might be the only little snafu we run in with this service, which is good, because I thought we'd run into some issues with that 91 engine, and he was actually really surprised at how it passed, so. Everything's in service, everything's up and running, everything's serviced for the year. The only thing else we'll have to look at, if money permits, is the jaws and, SCBA's to be tested, and I'll work with Deb on that. Eric Vukovic, you guys had approved him going to Stark State Fire School. Stark State did not get enough people for that course. They canceled the class. Everything's been taken care of. I got him enrolled with Buckeye. He will start at the end of the month. The price is comparable. I think Buckeye actually come in a little bit higher. Am I right in saying that? But this guy he's very committed. He's very dedicated. And the quicker we can get him trained, the better we are. So we got him started. He should be starting here the end of the month, and by hopefully January he'll be trained and we'll be good to go with another guy. And then the only other thing I got is the CE Solutions you guys had approved, and Deb had asked us to wait. We'd come up with some money. It has been ordered. Everything's back up and running for all our EMS personnel, and everything should be good. And that's all I got.
On the fire, Vukovich, what was the difference?
I wanna say it was like $70 or $80.
It was close to 100 or
Yeah,
something.
it wasn't a
$100
lot, but,
more than what we already approved.
right. I think we approved like 460 something for him through Stark State, and I think Buckeye come in like right at 600.
I would say 600 for Buckeye.
Okay, so I mean, we're talking, yeah, it was, I guess, closer to $100.
And
so-
Stark State did get the check that they also refunded us.
They
so
refunded, so-
Everything's taken care of.
I make a motion that we send him to Buckeye then.
Second.
Bennett? Yes. Fair?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yeah.
And Chuck?
Yes.
Now, was there any other thing that was gonna cost right now?
Money, no, we're actually.
That was the only one?
Yes, we are in good shape. Like I said, the only thing I know of, unless we have an emergency breakdown, is the SCBA's and the ladders. The money's gonna be coming out soon for all them radios, but it should all be in there. It should all be earmarked. The Marks radios things are gonna be happening quick. They got all the fleet maps, all the programming's gonna start, and everybody's gonna be online when, like I said, by January 5th. So we're talking 2 months. It's gonna be a big change and a big training for all of us, including me. I mean, them radios are definitely gonna take some training, so.
Now, the 10th, you had the test for these, right, the ADs?
Yes, everything come back good on them. Them are good to go. We're actually looking right now, Medic Thompson approached me about changing some stuff up with our contract. We're looking at some things maybe we can do different to make that a little cheaper on us. And, but yeah, the AEDs are all up and good running, the life packs are all good. We will have more money coming out for that reimbursable grant yet. I told you guys that last week, but it's all coming back. I think we approved over at the station last Tuesday or 2 Tuesdays ago to get that AED, which I have not brought to Deb or you guys yet, which is running at like 1,900. And I just figured tonight we'll have like 2,900 left to spend. But like I said, it's all reimbursable and it's gotta be spent by December 31st or we lose the money. So I mean, that's kinda coming out, but it's coming right back, you know what I mean? So,
Bill, I think I forgot, but why are they charging us so much a radio after 2 years?
it's a maintenance fee. That's what's gonna take care of the towers, keep the towers up, keep all the programming, all that kinda stuff going. It's a maintenance fee. And unfortunately, that's gonna hurt us. I'm hoping the commissioners come up with a way to keep covering that. I think they're covering it for 4 years, am I wrong?
I thought
think
it
it's
was
the
2.
first 4. Pretty sure the commissioners are covering it for 4 years, and then
Okay.
after that, we're on our own right now. And as of right now, the rate is $10 a radio, and we're gonna be running 25 portables, 8 mobiles, and, I mean, we're into some serious money, so hopefully somebody comes up with some money by then, so. But yeah, we should be covered for 4 years.
I think the association for your firemen, you might have some luck going through with them,
With
to
the
change
associ-
that,
Well,
so they don't have to pay it.
Well, with
Because
those,
that's gonna be a lot of money for a lot of people.
oh yeah, it's gonna kill little departments like ours, but I mean, we'll see what they do. I mean, we got a lot of time to worry about that, so hopefully they'll figure something out before then. But that's all I got. We'll be good trick or treat. We're ready to go. We'll have a full crew. We'll be passing out hot chocolate and coffee and chips just like we always do. And we'll have some trucks on the road and we'll try to get a truck or two in the parade on Wednesday.
Is the CPR class still scheduled for Friday?
Yes, that is for the village guys. We were gonna send some of our firemen, but I just talked to Teresa, that's what we were just talking about here tonight. It's 2 different classes. She's not doing a healthcare provider for them, because they don't need it. We need a healthcare provider because we're EMS personnel. So we'll work out something with the couple that needed it, so. But, yes, yeah, as soon as we get one scheduled, I'll let you know. But yeah, that's all I got.
All right, very good, thank you, Chief. Chief Guy, it's good to see you.
See you guys. I've got a few things. I missed the meeting, so I gotta double everything up.
No.
No?
No.
Alright, I need lots of money, so I'm gonna go through that first. We gotta do our firearms qualifications again this year. I need 200 for ammo, and then for us to use the range in Strasburg, it's $200 to rent out the whole range for us to go use that. And then for trick or treat and the parade, I'd like to request a $200 for that, so I need a total of $600.
parade, what's that money for candy?
Candy for parade and trick or treat. On both nights, and that's for Beach City only.
And, ammo and the range, right?
Yes.
And it's 6 what?
600
Even?
even.
And that's all you're gonna ask for?
That's all the money I'm asking for. Figure get those 3 out of the way right away.
I was sitting on the porch the other night, and a little kid pulled up on his bike, and he said, "You giving candy out trick or treat?" And I said, "Yeah." I said to him, I goes, "What, you gonna set up all your victims now? So you know where to go, you want everybody in?"
He's making his little maps in there, but.
I make a motion, we do the 600 for the police department.
Second. Bennett? Yes. Thayer?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yeah.
And Chuck?
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for passing the Lexi poll. I've got my first conference call on that tomorrow and Wednesday. I'm hoping to get it up and running while I'm off work at my other job. And just so you guys know, I'm on light duty here until November 1st. And I've got plenty of paperwork to do to keep me busy until then. The last meeting, you guys talked about the court time ordinances. I'm going to be, I've been looking through some of the ordinances. I was here about 3 weeks ago now with Debbie, and I looked through some of these ordinances, and we've got to update a lot of them, and a lot of it's gonna come with the standard operating procedures that LexiPol provides us. Will give us things that need to be adjusted. Maybe we can have a committee meeting on that, just to see what you guys wanna look at, what needs changed, what's okay. There's just a few things that just haven't been updated in a while that we just need to really look over. Part of it's gonna be the hourly rates, the court time rates, officer titles. It's all part of, my department restructuring that I'm working on, trying to get done for the first year. I've also updated all of our department forms. Debbie has a copy of them. They all now have form numbers. They're all up to date. I've went through websites from the state, other local departments, found all the forms they use, made our own. And so each form that we use, if anyone has a question on them, Debbie has a copy. I've got a binder right back there that sits at the police department that has every form and it's indexed. So now we have, I wanna have officers coming from another department saying, "Oh, I like this form that we use down there, we're gonna use it in each city," and then they use it. Or forms from the 80s that I found back there. So we just really adjusted, made sure is much more organized and everyone's on the same page with what we're using there. We did receive the Bureau of Workman's Comp Vest Grant that we talked about a couple meetings back. I was approved for the full amount. So it's a reimbursable grant. The village will pay for part of it and the officers will pay the other part of what our responsibility is. So officers will pay for part, village pays for part. The grant pays for, I think, 75 to 80% of the vest. So they're getting $1,000 vest for about $250. And that gives them, it's a great deal. It's really nice. I appreciate that.
We'll be paying that up front, correct?
Correct. It'll be paid up front and then they'll reimburse it. The way they're, as quick as they're moving on it, we'll get reimbursed pretty quick. I don't plan on spending that money till after the first of the year, as of right now. After the department's been restructured and we get everything in order and a updated, vest policy. We've got a vest policy, but I wanna update it. So once we get everything updated and redone, then we will order the vests. So I'll keep you guys up to date on that. And then my next favorite topic is the tasers. I was able to borrow one for the night. So this
He's
is,
training.
Yeah.
this is the X2. General idea of what I'm looking for getting. It's got a light, flashlight, little laser. It's a great tool. Like I've been advocating, I'm gonna get you guys a pricing list and more information by next meeting. This thing saves more lives than any other tool we have. It gives us one extra step for before we have to go to our gun to use this.
Is that the one that shoots the probes out?
Yes, so this is one of the cartridges. They're 30-foot length. You can pass it around if you want to. They're pretty much on number 8 fish hooks straightened out, and
The minute you shoot it,
you can take this one out and stick another one in there, in other
Correct.
words.
Yes. The one I'm looking at is similar to this, but it'll actually be able to shoot two of those separately, so.
What was you planning on doing, getting two of them?
Just, right now, I'm looking at the pricing and see which ones are the better deal. They've got a program that I've gotta really look at to see if it's worth us getting where we can just make payments, or if it's worth just buying the one and we're outright buying it. I think they're right around $1,000 for the taser, but that's not including the cartridge holder, the holster, or the cartridges. These cartridges are $32 to $36 a piece.
You got enough room on a person's thing to be able to stick that on there
So
yet?
generally, they
I
carry.
mean, I don't know how, they got so much stuff now.
Sure. So on the vest that we're getting, the outer carry vest that most of my officers carry, they'll usually hold them right here. And you have your gun right here, and you have your other stuff down here. Like I said, it's a great deterrent. If someone sees, so say someone's coming at me with a knife, you pull that on them, go with that laser, 9 out of 10 times they're stopping on you. You're also not pulling your gun on somebody that's coming at you with a knife. You can stop them, give them the help they need before you have to go to.
Only thing is, if they got a gun, you're shot before you even get the thing off.
Well, a gun, you're using a gun. If
Okay,
someone's got a gun,
okay.
but I'm talking about, there's a lot of, there's a lot of videos out there where they're using, you'll see like a suicidal person, they'll have the gun pointing to their head, hit them with this, they're getting the mental help they need. There's, a lot of them where they might have a knife in their hand or something.
What's the upgrade on this one here? Like you always end up getting insurance on something, so.
So will we cover, it'll be under the village's insurance policy. What are you talking about, like liability insurance, or are you talking about?
Well, they wanna
if
fix
break
it, they want you to take out something to fix the thing all the time.
So that's part of the questions I have for they have what they call a 5-year program
Okay.
where you can pay for the taser. They'll give you like 30 cartridges, plus they'll give you the holster, the battery, but then they add a nice little warranty on with that too, which is like $250 to $300. I don't know that we'll need that. So that's why I wanna really look at our prices and get everything in order, but I had the opportunity to borrow one of these, so I was like, I'm gonna jump on it and show you guys what they do, how they operate.
I can't remember the price, did you tell us before about?
I guesstimated just for the taser alone is about $1,000. But I mean, just on the liability alone of, obviously we're not gonna go around tasing everybody, or 9 out of 10 times you don't use it. But for that instant that we do need it, I'd rather pull this than my gun. If I can save someone's life, then I'd rather use this.
Well, if you have somebody with bad heart, oh, I'll tell you what,
It will
we're
not
gonna get
affect
sued.
It will not affect the heart.
Okay.
It goes with the central nervous system, so it messes with nothing with the heart. It's got 50,000 volts. It's the amps that kill you. So there's no amps in this.
Maybe people with bad hearts shouldn't be doing crime.
Good one.
That's true.
So,
Or maybe.
You're good tonight, Jamie.
so I could be wrong on this, but from what I've read on it, there's been a few people that died after they've been hit with tasers, but it's been because of other circumstances.
Does the big departments have them around here like Canton and all that? Do they have them?
Every department has them. I know Brewster, Navarre, Strasburg, Bolivar's got them. I mean, New Philly, Dover, they've all got tasers. We're one of the ones that don't.
We were at Brewster one time and they were doing a training, Chief and I was there, and it just happened, we were there looking at Lexipool, and they happened to be training an officer with the taser, and it's,
Did they hit the officer with the taser?
no, this one, the officer was shooting at a, target with a taser.
And then, once you tase them, then you gotta call the fire department to come get
So
them out.
the fire department will come.
Or
pull
the
comms.
EMTs.
Correct, the EMTs
Yes.
pull the comms that we need.
Is that true that the person that operates the thing has to be shot with it once?
They like for them to be shot with it for court purposes. You don't have to, but in the training, I've been hit with it 3 times.
That's what's wrong with you.
It's not fun.
Is that what happened to your hair?
And I got married.
I'm telling her that.
I was bald prior to being married. So this is, like I said, I'm gonna give more information. I wanna start looking at this starting the first of the year. But if you guys wanna see it or ask any more questions, I can get you guys the details later. But this is pretty much an idea of what they are.
And if I'm not mistaken, then once you hit them with that thing, then you can pull that trigger again, it'll still give them another jolt with that one taser.
Yes.
Oh, it's still connected up then?
Yeah, until the
Wait till you
EMTs
pull the
take it
cylinder.
out.
Okay.
So, I can pull the cartridge off, I can cut the cords, they just gotta pull the things out. We're trained to pull them out, it's just better to let the fire department do it. But I can hit them, it's 5 seconds when it goes off, and then after the 5 seconds, I can zap them again.
That
But
fire hydrant out there regular.
it's,
It's broke.
like I said, I've
Yeah, Lonnie
carried
quoted
it
it.
before,
I didn't know if you
I've
guys
used them
got
on
it up
people
or
before.
not, so.
I've only had
The
to
guy
deploy
come in
it
next week
once,
to look at it.
Okay.
and it was great, it really got one, so they'll be trained on it. I would also like to send an officer to school to be a instructor, it'll save us money in the long run, because once a year we can re-qualify with them. If we can have an instructor, I think it's like $300 for the course. Send them to the course, we got plenty of money in our training fund for it, get them certified for it, and then, anyways, I'll get you exact pricing, but like I said, I just had an opportunity to borrow.
Who's that made by? Where are they from?
These are made by Axon, it used to be Taser, so they're their own company. They actually, from, if I remember correctly, so I've gotta read up a little more, they've actually got lawyers ready to where if we Taser somebody gets sued, that they'd be defending not us, but their Taser. That's how it used to be, I've gotta check and see if they still do that, but anytime someone's died from this, I'm pretty sure all of them have been because of other complications, not because of this. So, but that's,
I have to pick up this a little bit.
Sure.
Okay,
We
so how many times during the course of a year do you pull your gun?
oh my god,
I mean, at the department, not just you. Just,
every
just.
time we search an empty house,
Okay, so are they gonna be more quick to draw that than their gun?
yes.
So is that gonna put us under more liability based on, okay, we're gonna grab the taser because this, you know what I'm saying, are they gonna be more apt to pull that?
So there's use of force policies that they follow, so different levels require
Right, I
different
understand.
aggressions would be,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not gonna go on a traffic stop and have my taser on and laser going, just because if someone's coming at me, someone's got a weapon, two people are fighting and they're not listening to our commands, it saves injuries from the officers from getting involved hands-on, to where I know when I worked at a speedway, I used to work for them, and they would come out to the racetrack, they'd spend their whole money for their electric bill and everything else on their racing, and the guy that's mad at them wrecks their car and just all that money's gone. They come out with tire irons, we pull a taser, they see that red dot, their friends are pulling each other off of them, and we don't have to get involved. So it's a great tool, but I know I've been advocating for it for a while, but I wasn't planning on doing this side paperwork, but I had an opportunity, so I had to jump on it, so. But that's all I've got tonight, guys, thank you for everything.
I don't think I'd go in a house.
Thank you, Chief.
For a taser in my hand.
Oh, no, I wouldn't do that.
That's right.
Yes.
Donnie, do you have anything for us tonight?
Just two things from Ample Highlight, JV, maybe JV one, they're getting rid of it. We got a resolution here that they passed to, get rid of it. We had to okay that and send back an email, either you or I. Then the other one is on the hydro plant, which is part of the JV one. And, we have to sign off on that. I sent both things to Courtney, and he recommends we go ahead and sign off on it. On both items, he said it won't hurt us at all.
Has everybody read those?
Steve had a copy of the one,
Yeah.
he read over it,
I read the certificate,
yeah.
and I can say, as to the substance, Don understands that much better than I do. As to potential liability, I don't see any that would be imposed as a result of it, unless it exists under one of the output contracts. So I didn't have any issue with it from a liability perspective, but admittedly, I don't understand hydroelectric
Is
project.
that the both of them or just the hydro?
That's the hydroelectric project.
Yeah,
That's the JD5, right?
one, JV one.
And both the
The,
hydro and.
the hydro is, all I have to do is send back an email, me or the mayor, saying that it's okay for them to go ahead and get rid of it. Then the other one was where they did the resolution to get rid of it, which they already voted on, that they have to have our okay in order to get rid of it, because we own part of it.
I make a motion that we okay them to get rid of both of them. Or give them our permission to get rid of them.
It'll actually save us money down the road, you know, which we could use. So like I say, Jack's gotta sign off on the one, and then the other one, either he has to send an email or I do.
If you know who to email, that'd be fine if you wanna go ahead
I
and
do.
send it, Donnie. That's,
Here's the one he has to sign.
we've gotta wait till they pass it.
That's the one that,
Okay, Rod, come back and finish what we're doing.
Well, all we're doing is giving them, they've already got it sold. JV one, they've got sold, up at, what is it?
Finley? Yeah, where that?
Somewhere.
Cuyahoga Falls.
Cuyahoga Falls. They've already got it sold. All they're asking is our permission for them to sell it so that they can not reimburse, but make it right with everybody that owned in that already, which we were one of the owners. And they've already sold it, so what they're gonna do is either credit our account, or is that what they do, Bonnie?
you just take it off the invoice if you have any money coming back
So we're gonna,
over a period of month. 2
if we
months,
have
whatever.
anything coming back, it'll be credited to our invoices. Same with, the hydro plant, right?
Yeah, well, the hydro plant's just,
JV one, did we have a generator with that like JV five is?
not that I know of.
Nothing there, okay.
The JP five is the one that had the generators, they got rid of them a couple of months ago,
What, the JV five?
yeah. Yeah, we voted on that a couple weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago.
And, JV five, we already.
We're not paying that generator no more then.
No, them generators are gone, they sold them.
But JV one was sold to Cuyahoga Falls,
Last year.
Yeah, it's
and
been about a year, yeah.
they
November
just
24th.
need everybody's approval so that they can, credit
Okay.
all the
Now, on
owners.
JV one, I can't understand it, I still see, maybe Debbie can tell you, I forgot.
You're right, you're seeing invoices for JV five.
That's right,
Yeah, they're
it's
still billing us.
$4,800 a month,
They're still billing us.
that's what I'm just asking right
They
now.
didn't sell JV five as a whole, maybe they just sold some of the
I think
generators.
he's all
Right.
about the generators, that's what they got rid of.
That's what I thought, the generators, they just.
And you got
rid
the
of
credit for
generators.
that, it came off the invoice somewhere.
Yeah, they credit our invoice is what JV five did.
Right, off the generators, right. We had a chance to buy them, okay?
I understand that.
And we decided not to
That's
because
right.
the reason they had to get rid of them was they wouldn't pass EPA inspection no more. So why should we buy one if it doesn't pass EPA inspection?
So we're actually still in that part, Debbie, that we still gotta pay, we're paying two different things.
JV five, this is JV one.
Yeah, this is JV one we're
We don't
talking
pay
about.
JV one.
Okay.
But we do own some in JV one. What they will do is credit our account for what they have, then they've sold it.
Okay.
Did I get that right,
Yeah,
Donnie?
yeah,
So you recommend to go ahead and do this?
yep, and Courtney read through the paperwork and he recommends that we go ahead and.
You made a motion? I'll second it.
Bennett? Yes. Fair?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
One thing I wanna ask Steve, while we're still on electric, there's two different things, and did we ever get a bill to start paying our, what was it, 89,000 back? And we got the new thing that they come out with. Debbie,
What new thing?
something to do with Ample-High, that something,
There was another legal, they had another adverse judgment that was rendered against them in a different case.
yes.
And, but I just received a memo on that and hadn't heard anything else. I haven't heard anything at all with regard to the outstanding 89,000.
Did they bill us that $1,000 a month yet at
They
all?
were told to put it on our bill and they haven't
It's
done
not on there yet? I can call down there.
Could we get that done and get that started so we can get paid for it one of these days? I mean, it's been 2-3 years now.
Yes.
I mean, they're charging interest on it, like you said, Steve, before, it ain't that much interest. It's just the idea that somewhere down the line, you wanna pay for it.
Yeah, and it's accruing regardless of how
The
little.
only thing we gotta own is a little piece of ground if they ever sell it.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the correspondence from him with regard to the Elliott Land and Cattle Company.
it. Mhm.
Yeah.
And they're saying that the collection rate per kilowatt, is going to begin year one at $1.51 and then reduce to 33 cents after 5 years. And I believe it'll be paid after that.
Now, that's the second thing we've got into, right? Not the first thing.
That is that's the
Hy-
hydro.
Hydro,
And then there was
okay.
the coal plant that was never built
Yeah.
to the tune of $5
Well, I
billion.
brought up about the hydro one was brought up here. Are we gonna have to pay any of that thing?
It-
We end up paying all the time.
I've mentioned that before, I get emails only when there's adverse rulings in court cases. This one, it looks like you will pay it, it'll be paid through the billings for kilowatt hours.
Yeah.
So,
Kilowatt hours we use, or purchase off of them,
What would it end up, say, how many years did it take to pay this off, Steve?
5 years.
What do you think that amounts to other than that?
the judgment is $3,751,918.20, plus post-judgment interest.
Well, we get a percentage because there was 88 companies that was in on that to start with.
I don't know the number from this memo, but
Is there any way that we can find out why we're not getting billed for the $1,000 to get that other bill paid off?
Sure, I'd find out.
I would appreciate that. Because they said a long time ago they was gonna bill us, put it on our bill, and it hasn't come.
in this one, not the coal, but this hydro, it looks like as of the last, the memo that I received, they were still contemplating appealing that decision. So I don't know whether or not they
So you don't know if you gotta pay it or not, if it's appealed.
Exactly.
Yeah, if it's appealed, they're not gonna impose it. I'm sure they'll stay the underlying case and then you'll be in, I would imagine, federal circuit court, which is gonna run through months and months and months and months.
I just don't wanna see the other company come up and say, you owe this bill and you haven't paid nothing, we're gonna put a judgment against you. I don't wanna see that happen.
No, Amplify wouldn't do that. They would definitely either contact me or send me a letter or the mayor a letter before they even do anything.
Well, let's get something done so we see what they wanna do. Let's don't hang out another 2 years, 3. Because I've asked Debbie how many times whether we got billed, she keeps saying no.
Did you get your vote you needed for that?
Okay,
So this is the one I need to sign here, Don?
Yeah, there at the bottom. I'll send that one back and I'll email on this other one.
You're signing, can you sign the Lexicon?
so actually, they're gonna send you back the thing after the appeals case on that last thing.
That's
I
this
would
one.
think that they'll send another update as to the decision on appeal.
Yeah, anytime they do that, they'll- either I or Harrison will do a copy.
Okay,
If I get something, I'll forward it to you.
okay, thank you.
What happened, on the water break up on top of the hill?
I had to put in a 5-foot section of pipe, split right down the middle, split right down the seam.
Did that have anything to do with it when you were opening the hydrants up and flushing them?
No, when they went to flush the hydrants, when they seen it, they didn't even get to flush the hydrants.
Did you hear it? We lost a 5-foot section up from the top of the hill, broke open, the pipe.
I think they put bad pipe in up there on that hill, I think that's what the big problem is.
Well, we paid for good pipe, I'll tell you
I think
that.
if I would put stainless steel clamps on it, so it should last longer.
Okay.
Do you have anything else, Donnie?
No, that's
That
it.
it? Okay. Stephen, do you have anything for us tonight?
Yeah, two things real quick that Councilwoman Bennett had asked me to look into. The first is on small cell wireless. As someone had meant, you may have mentioned it at the last meeting, the FCC on September 26th did vote and acknowledged their right as the Federal Communications Commission that they preempt all the state law for small cell wireless. So it's going to be under the purview of the FCC. Most likely that's going to at least put on hold to the extent it's inconsistent, any state law, or it'll just become a nullity because they preempt it. So that's kind of the bad news. The good news is in doing it, they acknowledge local government's rights to control certain aspects of putting it's gonna be 5G, and the three things were the reasonableness of what they're doing, as long as the local governments can implement reasonable restrictions on what they do, which is gonna be decided by courts as the cases come out to decide what is reasonable, what isn't. Same is true for aesthetics. In some communities, they're asking for like palm trees. If you wanna put it up, it has to look like a palm tree probably. Maybe apropos for Beach City, I don't know, but, so aesthetics, and then the big one is, the fees. So the FCC, instead of just going with a reasonable standard and saying you can charge it, but it has to be reasonable, they set caps. And as long as your fee falls at or under that amount, then it's going to be considered reasonable through the regulations. That may be challenged in court, but right now the best thing you have is those fees. And the fees are $500 in non-recurring fees for a single upfront application up to 5 small wireless facilities. So when they apply, you can charge them up to $500. If you charge them less, that'll be considered reasonable. An additional $100 for any small cell beyond 5, up to $1,000 for a new pole, which is not a co-location, so they're gonna put their own pole up in the village. And then recurring fees of no more than $270 per year. So some of that's already incorporated into the ordinance that the village passed. The actual dollar amounts, I don't believe that they are. So there might have to be some changes made to that to put the actual figure in so that it corresponds with what the FCC has done. And the full text of the FCC's decision is 116 pages. I didn't print the whole thing out if anybody wants to. There's only a couple sections that are really relevant. And then the other one that was brought up last time was an executive order signed by Governor Kasich with regard to the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, which was a requirement that law enforcement agencies all report this information into the database that I believe ATF uses when people purchase guns. It's part of Governor Kasich is trying to put what he considers common sense gun reforms in, and this is one of those steps. The concern that I know came up last time is you guys at the police department don't have access to this, and the executive order doesn't specify A, B, C must be done. It says what he wants to have done, and then directs the OCJS, the Office of Criminal Justice Services, and a working group that was created under that to explore this and to report and upload all relevant information, identifying barriers in Ohio to timely and complete reporting and uploading of information to NICS. So what I was going to say to the chief is it may be worthwhile to reach out to OCJS, or if you'd like, I can, and just you'd be better able to speak to, here's our barriers that we have, take these into consideration when you make a decision, because it's not finalized yet. And then they're also going to be sending out, OCJS is going to send out requests for information to public officials in public offices, probably asking for that very kind of information, and then you can tell them, you know, what the barriers might be for the village. But as a result of the executive order itself, I didn't see anything that would be immediate liability. It's just kind of the beginning framework for what the governor wants to see put into place in the coming months. So those two things are all that I had, unless anybody has any.
Well, the first thing you have, if they stick a pole inside the city, we sure have to know where they're gonna put the pole. So they can't, just walk in there and say, we're gonna stick a pole right here. And they'd have to end up getting to our administrator first.
Yeah, and there's an ordinance on the books now, and the FCC didn't go so far as to say they preempt everything, and here's how it's going to go. They said we preempt the state law and then reserve powers back to the local governments. So because you have an ordinance on the books, they would have to come and take a look at that ordinance and see what steps they have to follow.
Okay.
And if they don't like something that's in the ordinance, then you may end up in court, but that's where we
You can
probably.
work that part out.
Well, we're probably in a good position because we didn't just sit down and try to brainstorm what we think would be good. We went with what Ohio Municipal League said was good, which means you're most likely not gonna be the first one to have the challenge. It's gonna be one of the bigger members of OML that they're trying to, even, I can't think of, Hudson, I think, may have been already involved in it. But there's other ones who've already been actively involved in litigation. They're probably gonna be one of the first test cases in bigger municipalities. And then I did remember to bring your paperwork back.
All right, thank you, Steve. I got a couple things to go over. One is you all now have a list of the finance, or the committees going forward. Keep it handy. Everyone was assigned as a chairperson of a committee. There's 3 of you that are actually on 4 committees. The rest of you are all on 3 committees. Deb is going to be, as things come to her attention, she is going to be giving me information. We will pass it to the chairperson of the committee. I want to start a database, so to speak, of the different items that each committee needs to address, when they need to address it, so that going forward, there's something on paper that future councils, future mayors, future clerks can follow it, so we'll kind of set the base for it going forward. As these things come up with Deb, we'll have a meeting of whichever committee it is. We'll go over what we need to get into as far as the committee, the information we need. I'm sure Deb will help us along in any way she can, but we need to take the ball and run with this once we get everything established. So does anybody have anything about the committees that you want to discuss?
Is that gonna be a report every council meeting, or once a month?
As needed, if something, comes up, then, you know, if we have a meeting, or the chairperson of that committee says we need to have a meeting, and then we will, update council, the rest of council on it as it goes. If we do have something to talk about every month, that's fine. If, you know, there may be some months that we don't. Anybody got anything else they wanted to ask on this?
Is everything okay now with the insurance for the employees?
I just got in today their actual cards. In the past, sometimes their cards were sent directly to their home with a booklet. The cards were sent to me this time and I passed it out. They have their cards. They approved the one employee's upcoming process that's gonna be done. Anything that had to be processed prior to getting the cards, they supplied us with a form with their basic information on that they could show their doctors. Some of the doctors didn't like it, but until their cards came out, they had to accept it. I haven't used it, so I don't have any problems with it. Like I said, I don't use it that often. I will when I get my next prescription, I'll use it, but I
I mean,
haven't.
as far as getting them the best coverage we could, at the best price we could, it went on through.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. You know, from what I understand, I know Lonnie's doctors were in the system. I know the lady that I go to on a normal basis, she's in the system. I don't know if Cindy's is or not, because I talked to Cindy, but I'm thinking I'm not sure. No one else has said anything, but a lot of us just don't go a lot. It's not a regular routine visit that we take.
Some do.
Some do.
Now, do these have to be approved?
No.
No, because the mayor signed.
No, you gave me, you voted last meeting to give me the approval to do
Oh,
it.
okay. That's great.
And I can tell you, looking at this, heads up to, sorry, Gene. Building and utilities. One thing that Johnny and I have talked about, we haven't sat down to work on, that you'll need to be involved in, is our phone system. The contracts are up with Frontier. You know, these phone companies with landlines make you sign contracts. And they're up. Well, they've been calling and calling and calling, and I keep stalling, because we had an offer from Verizon to come in and talk to us about giving us better rates and installing an entire new phone system. And they thought they could beat what we were paying Frontier just for our phone lines. And it's something that they're gonna have to be involved in. That
We're
committee.
following buildings and utilities.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, John's not here tonight, because he's the,
And I will tell you that I stalled them long enough now that the last bill that I got, they doubled the cost of the landline.
oh, God, okay.
Is there any possibility that we could get, our phones through Spectrum? Like I pay $25 a month and I can call all of the United States,
I don't know.
Canada, and Puerto Rico. It's a local call. I don't know anybody in Canada, let alone Puerto Rico. But I mean, you no longer have to worry about long distance phone calls.
I got
Well,
the
that would
same-
be
I got the
something-
same thing through Verizon.
That would be something for the committee to look into.
I got the same thing through Verizon. Verizon has that
Or
too.
they-
Uh,
Well, with the business though.
I mean, with the amount of phone calls, long distance would be made by the municipality. Considerable savings could be incurred, as long as they didn't gouge you on the other end, putting it in and giving it to you.
Exactly. The one example for Verizon is our carrier for our cell phones for the employees, for the men out here. So every time that I pick up the phone and I call these numbers for these men, I'm charged on my side. The men on their side, I don't think that they're charged, but I am. I'm charged for that call, Frontier to Verizon. If we would go to Verizon inside, it'd be all one,
Yeah.
Verizon to Verizon, you know what I'm saying?
mhm.
I mean, and that's something that we could really weigh out.
If I called John tomorrow and find out when we could have a committee meeting with John, Franny, and Jean on that utilities with the phone thing, do we have to broadcast when we're having committee meetings by a certain time or certain?
No, because there's no quorum.
So-
That's,
So
yeah.
those three could get together whenever.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because there's not enough of us to pass anything.
I will try to call John tomorrow.
What I was gonna do, I was gonna pull like a current Frontier bill that came in, I was gonna pull an older one, and then maybe give you the name of the person from Verizon who, they've agreed to come in and talk to Donnie and I, and set it up. We know that Donnie, you know, depending on how he's feeling, would be available on Fridays. Working with us to get this accomplished. This is not something that I would wanna take on and make the decision on.
Right.
Because whatever we do, it's gonna affect us
sure.
long-term.
Is it this Friday?
If you
It might be,
ended,
the committee ought to come and listen.
I would think, yes.
Yeah.
if you ended up going with Verizon, would you still have to pay a fee for Frontier's lines to come over?
No, no.
Don't
We
have
would
to.
keep our same phone numbers, and they would provide us with a new phone system. This one here would go, it's from 2008 or 9. It would go, they'd give us phones, and then they'd bill us for their service. This is stuff we all have to research. I mean, I'm just
Yeah,
winging
that's
here.
why you would meet with the Verizon and they would explain all that. But
I just can't see that you can put Verizon across Frontier lines, just like our Ample High. We still gotta pay so much for wheeling across the lines. And you
Most of the
would have-
phone stuff's
well-
wireless now anyway, there is,
No.
I mean, I don't have a phone line in my house.
I don't
I
either.
don't either.
I have a
I do
phone,
have
but I don't
one,
have a phone line.
Well, I still do.
I do too.
I do away with my hardwire, and all I got's you get this little black box, I sit in there and get the same phone number, except I ain't got no hassle. Anybody I wanna call.
So I will get with John to see if we can set up a committee meeting and get that information for that, because if they're double billing us now, I don't wanna drag it on. too
Yeah,
much,
we
you
don't
know.
wanna take it.
We don't wanna drag it on.
Yeah, but what cost breaks we were getting, we're gonna slowly start losing until we sign a contract.
Yeah,
They wanna keep us in there. They wanna keep us tied to a contract.
if either one of you guys see John, see what his, I'm gonna try to call him tomorrow.
And then for like the insurance, I gave everybody a copy of that insurance paperwork. So if you, on that committee, you can go through and do we have all the addresses listed? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I used to give it to Councilman Willis, and he would go through and he would look at everything, and he was here enough to know what our vehicles, he could catch if there was something missing, if they forgot to put something on the report, or, this is to back up the eyes that we really need your help on.
I agree, we do. We all need to pitch in, do our part.
Your safety and employee, that's your time to meet with the chief to talk about some of the stuff, that he doesn't have to bring the information for the tasers and spend an extra 20 or 30 minutes talking about it. He can go over it, give an opinion as a committee up front, and then you just take back what, you know, the information and share.
Just gotta learn how to work it. All right, one other thing I wanted to go over, Donnie and I met with, Bureau of Workers' Comp on, a week ago Friday the 5th. They gave us their summary of the accident that happened down here. We had 5 violations. They suggested, for each one of them, they suggested what we needed to do. The one had already, Deb had worked, I forget who you had worked with to get that one taken care of,
Oh, the paperwork,
the paperwork.
right.
Does everyone know the accident I'm referring to? Okay. We need to do general training for the whole staff of our water, electric, sewer. There's training, they will help us with training. In some instances, they will actually come down here and do the training. They didn't fine us for anything. They said our money's better well spent here, protecting our employees, than sending it to Columbus, which I absolutely agree with. So there is some training for the whole staff. We also have to have a competent person training. And what that is you're training one employee to basically be in charge of when they start to dig a hole or they start to excavate something, that person has the authority to say, hey, this isn't safe. We're shutting her down right now. Lonnie had that training, but it had been over 10 years, I think,
Yeah.
since he had it. So they recommended that we get that training. And they gave us books that show when the training. We have 6 months basically to get done what they're recommending. Or show that we are in the process of getting it done. We need to buy a trench box. We looked at some, they start out about $6,000, I think it was.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
They're aluminum, they're not like the old times where there was this giant piece of iron that weighed, 4,000 pounds and you had to have a crane to pick it up. They come in pieces now, you can put them in the back of a pickup, you assemble it right there in the hole.
You build what you want for
Yeah.
that specific job.
You build what you need, size-wise. For a 6x6, I think they started out at about $1,000, or about $6,000.
Yeah, we're getting prices on, we're getting a 6x6 by 10. We can build it to 10 feet deep
Right. Because you have to have a foot of it
above the ground.
above the ground. So
We're
if you're
getting
10 foot
prices on
deep,
that.
you can dig a 9-foot hole.
These keep the diggings from falling back in, right?
Yes, we have shoring now, but the different classes of dirt, like when they dug that hole there, that was what they consider a class C,
C,
correct me if I'm wrong, which is dirt that is already been disturbed, it's not stable, your shoring is okay if you have a class A, which is basically really hard bedrock dirt that's never been dug up before, and you dig a hole, it's gonna stay, the shoring will keep it there. Once it becomes disturbed or gets water in it, it becomes a class C, then that's whenever you have to get your box. Unless you have room to build, but, cause you gotta, what is it, 1.5 feet for every foot?
You gotta bench it.
You gotta bench it, so basically that hole they dug out there, what'd you say, 40?
You'd been 20 foot on both sides, 40 feet.
It would have been 40 foot across. So you would have had the whole street
The whole
dug.
street.
In order to be
Instead of
able to
putting a box.
step it that far. With the box, you can dig the size you need. So we're gonna have to get a box.
And he said we didn't apply these, what they told us to do, then there would be fines.
Yes, if we don't,
They are gonna follow up then on it.
they will follow up, yes. Basically, they could have made the 5 violations into 3, but since there was dirt and water, they had one for dirt, one for water, but it came down to the basic thing. We had to upgrade some of our paperwork and some of our reporting. Excuse me, we gotta have training for the staff, training for competent person training, and we need a box. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Does this protect them from drowning?
The box?
No.
No.
But they wouldn't be in a situation where they would be trapped
Right, the dirt
and couldn't
can't,
get up,
Right.
go up to get out of
dirt, yeah, the
it.
dirt can't fall in.
It would protect them from a
See how the
cable.
water washes the dirt out, when it collapses, well, they won't be able to do that because of the box.
So they'd have the ability to get out of there. Okay.
Right.
How much of this is paperwork that has to be changed?
I think that part's already been done.
Oh, I already did it.
Yeah.
You already did.
They came in and showed me,
And the only other things we have is the box that we have to get
And training.
and training. Well, we can handle the box tonight, but where would we take that out of, all utilities or just
all departments.
all departments? Oh, because all departments would be using it, right?
But at this time, we don't have a price to say, so, I mean, you might wanna wait until
Yeah, I'm
we,
getting prices, you might wanna
he's
wait.
getting prices, you might
Well, I
wanna.
thought you said it was 6,000.
Well, the ones we kinda looked at
Yeah.
a few here that day, just to get a ballpark idea of where they started.
Oh, okay.
Cause I wanted to know, I never bought a trench box, I didn't know that they cost $100 or 100,000, I had no idea. So they said a ballpark figure to
I
start with
should have some
about
prices
6
together in
grand.
the next 3, maybe, not the next meeting, but the meeting after that.
Okay.
I want to get at least 3.
The same with the training, you get pricing on the training, or, and I know you said they
But-
would use.
Well, they said that they're gonna try to come down and train us.
Yeah,
So all of it then?
all the
Okay.
training, I think all we're gonna have into the training is gonna be paying the employees to go. You're
Okay.
gonna have to pay their wages.
Yeah.
Some of them are more than 1 day, I think they're all more than 1 day, so
Yeah,
we
2
may
days,
have
I
some, expenses, mileage, overnight
Columbus.
lodging, stuff like that.
What would we do if we had a situation where we had to have the box right now, which we don't have the employees that were able to use it?
Well, we have shoring that we can use, but the reason they must have a box, because the shoring we got is not typically designed for sea soil.
Okay,
So we actually got stuff that we can use,
so we wouldn't have to put it off or be hindered by it.
right? They understand too that, you know, you got a water break line broke, you can't wait 6
That was
months
it,
to
yeah,
fix
6
it.
months to, okay.
Would we have used that, something like that up on top of the hill if we would've had it?
What's that?
Was it down deep enough?
I
When
don't
you
know
had
how,
to break?
he didn't say how deep that was up there, I don't know how deep it was. This one down here was only 4 feet. And actually, once you go over 4 feet, then you're supposed to use, but he told us in that meeting, they're trying to change that to make it all the time.
Yeah.
See, right now, anything 4 feet or less, you don't have to have a box.
So the training would be that they wouldn't come down here and actually do it, where all the employees
Some
are
of it.
at.
Some of-
You got three different kinds of training. You got a basic trenching training for all the employees. You have a competent person training for, it would probably be Lonnie, unless it would be Jeff. We would have to
Lonnie,
decide
Jeff,
that.
and Eddie.
That way, there's, the competent training would be one training, all the staff would be another training, and then once you get the trench box, they will actually come down and we'll go somewhere and they'll dig a hole, and they'll show the people how to use this box and what, you know. So there'll actually be three different kinds of trainings, one of which will be here.
Because we're gonna be getting in the winter here before long, and you ain't gonna be able to do it
Yeah, they know
anyway.
that too, they, yeah,
That's why they gave us till April 1st. And even if the guys don't have the training finished by April 1st, because there's only so many, if you look in this book, there's only certain places and times of the year they do the training. But if we have them signed up for the training and say the training's not until May.
that's like the
we're
trench
good, you know.
box. He says, as long as we have a PO issued for that
Right.
trench box, we're covered. He said that you have to have a PO specified for that trench
Okay.
box.
Copy of this? Yeah. Just put it back in here. If anyone wants to see the stuff that they gave us and the training stuff, it will all be laying right here. The catalog for the training is here as well. And Deb will put this has the violations on it. She'll put that back in there.
You know about this because I was audited when I was first here, maybe first year, they came down and audited something, I think I overpaid them or something, and they wanted to see how I was doing the paperwork,
Mm.
and they asked for copies of paper.
Oh.
And they will go back, they will go back and ask.
The only other thing I got is, in March, I went to that health department meeting, and I told you guys at that time that they were proposing an increase. So that will, what they're proposing will actually get voted on at the March meeting in 2019. But if anyone wants to see it, I think I had showed you this before. This is what we pay right now per year to the health department, the Stark County Health Department. And they have not had an increase since 2011, I think.
And that's for what?
This is what we paid, what does the money go for? Is that what you're asking? Hang on, see. Public health, emergency issues, emergency preparedness and planning, infectious disease control. It pays them to, and they send us emails and mail and different other things. It's part of what we pay to be in that district.
When we called in to come down and look at the place, that's part of that. Where the cats are in or the rats are into the place.
And I believe, Georgie, I think they take it straight off of our collections when they collect our money for, real estate.
I believe so,
It's
yeah.
tax.
Yes, it's
Okay.
Yeah,
taxed
it's a
right
tax.
out.
Part of the tax, okay,
I
that's
just-
what I was
But
wondering.
this
why
paper
wasn't-
here shows some of the different things you do, disease control, mosquito control.
Gotcha.
But it will go up a total, over 5 years, it's gonna go up $247 for a year. The first year, it'll go up, $47, and then next year they'll go up another $50, and so that'll be laying here too if anybody wants to see it. That will get voted on in March, at the meeting in March. I think I have anything else. Anybody else have anything they wanna go over tonight?
I have a quick question.
The one over here that we sent in the paper that Georgie notarized for us. We sent that in, and I guess we just wait to hear from them.
The land bank?
Yeah.
Yeah, I completed the application, submitted the affidavit, the photographs, and at the time, it was either late last month or early this month, I talked to, I can't think of her name, I spoke to someone over there and they said that they're trying to push through something else and that it's not gonna happen right away that they get to the regional planning, but that they would receive it and that it would be handled in the ordinary course, so. The application has been submitted and it's been at least 2 weeks since.
Another thing, we had a meeting, Connie White and George and I went to organizational meeting, and anyhow, they fall under the 501c.
Went to a CIC meeting.
Okay.
And I had a question, because they're considering allowing us to use our monies we collect from the festival and through their organization. And I wanted to know if we shouldn't have some kind of a paper deal.
Which way's the money flowing?
It comes out in the festival next fall.
It's put on by the CIC?
No.
It's put on by, the village puts it on and then the money goes to the CIC?
Well, we're trying to work out a situation where they would open a special place on their books that this money would go into, and then we would have a person on the festival committee be able to sign the checks on that, and they would have someone on their committee that could sign the check. But I'm asking, should we have some kind of legal stuff to do up there?
Yes, I would say yes, but that's probably my answer 10 out of 10 times when someone says, should you have it in writing? But yeah, if there's money involved, especially public money, then it should definitely be in writing and it should be very clear on where the money's coming from, where the money's going. And we'd also make sure that the sources and recipients of the money is all permitted. I know previously it was mentioned, you know, that it would be put on, and I don't see any problem with that, as long as it's not public money directly being used to benefit the private
No.
501c3.
Right.
No.
But yeah, I think something should be in writing for it, without a doubt.
Okay. We're waiting to hear back from that committee to see if they're gonna do that, and if they reject that, which they were very favorable, that, we can have another group that.
Okay, yeah, and it could be as simple as, depending on how willing they are to work with the village, as basically a release of liability, they release the village from any liability, and then they agree to hold us harmless and indemnify us, basically. They can't come after us for anything, and if somebody comes after us for something, they have to step in and pay our defense and pay any judgment that might come from it. So it could be a pretty simple agreement, depending on how everything's working, but there should be something in place, is my opinion.
If I understand, remember right, the CIC was set up to handle that stuff for the city because the village couldn't get involved in fundraising and stuff like that. So it was deferred to that organization, and that money that they were making was to come back for projects in the village. So actually, that money should go to them, and then they should give it back. When I was the president of the CIC, Terry Madden was the village administrator, and he asked me one time about giving certain amounts to the village for the park, for the things they were doing. I said, yeah. So we just signed the checks and sent it up.
What's the name of the 501c3? Do you know?
The CIC,
Yeah.
that's the group.
Is
Wait a
it
minute.
called
It's
community?
the Beach City Community Improvement Committee, I think.
Beach City Community Improvement Corporation.
Corporation.
And you're right, Jeannie, it was set up for the purpose of, all their money is funded through them to
Benefit the village.
benefit the village, that's why they exist.
Yes.
Right.
The
Because
fire
we were gonna
associ-
use the money to do the park.
the fire association benefits the fire department, yes. Now, they don't have to spend all their money on the park, but that's the
Yeah.
project they took on as I got started, was keeping up with the changes of the park property.
So I understood that basically, in conjunction with what the council wanted, they would direct them, to do this kind of stuff. And then the council in turn would lend them any support that they could to do anything that they could to raise the money. So
Yes.
it was a partnership,
Yeah, and I just looked up their filings with the Secretary of State, and it states the sole purpose of the CIC shall be to promote, advance, and encourage industrial, economic, commercial, and civic development of Beach City, Ohio by decreasing burdens of the village of Beach City and otherwise assisting in projects including but not limited to maintenance and purchase of public facilities and improvements. So that's the only reason that they can
Yeah.
exist, and that, because that's their sole purpose, that is the only thing, that's the only purpose they can serve.
There was even talk when we first started about purchasing land and then using it for industrial development, and turning it over. We would buy it, but we had to turn it over to the village, so the village in turn then could use it for industrial development to a business. But we never got that much money.
So actually,
Yeah.
you're saying then that they just put the money in there as it is right now, then turn around and kick it back? Is that what you're saying?
No, they're not supposed to be doing anything with that money until they're asked or directed by the village itself.
Oh,
Now, we never really come down and said whether it was gonna be the mayor, whether it was supposed to be the village council, it was just at the direction of the village.
Well,
I
Barb,
always understood to be the
Barb
council.
always brought it in here
Yeah,
before something was done. And actually, the city spent a lot of money out there
yeah, we did.
with our electric department and everything. A lot more than what we've got so far, but we was doing it to promote the whole thing.
I mean, but when Bev Marburger was, she was the president right after me, she was a godsend. I mean, she just took that thing in hand, the CIC is today because of her efforts. I mean, she really worked it right.
Yeah.
Because I told her one time, right after we first started, the first meeting I think we had over, it was 145 people showed up. Of course, everybody was rah, 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 The last meeting we had in June of 2009,
Three?
when she was elected president, there were 6 people there, I think. And I had made the statement one time to her, I said, I know Beach City, and what this is going to be, is you're going to have to find 6 women who care and who will run this. Because the men don't care, and all the other women are just gonna gossip about it, And that's the truth, I don't care who hears about it. This is Beach City, I've lived here all my life, I know the way the people are. And she found the 6 women, and she made that thing work. And it's just like even today, I mean, people, and everybody knows it. People in this village sit on Facebook and complain about the village, and I'm closing my account. Complain about it, but when you ask them, well, do you have any suggestions? Do you have any recommendations? Will you offer your help? No. Okay.
So where does that leave us?
You got
Yes.
five other
He said
people.
yes. He said yes.
It has to be in writing, and it has to be for the benefit of the village of Beach City. I don't think that the money can flow the other way based on the reason that they exist. I mean, and that wouldn't be a liability to the village. It would be them abrogating their duty and the sole purpose that they exist. So it should be kind of a valve for the money that.
Read that again.
Well, yeah, and you're right, because it was set up to take the stress off of the finances of the village.
Yeah.
That it couldn't afford to help do.
That's what their own articles of incorporation.
Mhm.
So what she wants to know is if her group that Hazel has that's planning this festival with the fire and the police and the CIC, can they run the money through the CIC without bringing it to the village? It would be, yes, they can because of how it's written through the state and their legal documents? Or do we need to write something else up?
Here's what I would say is, it's not going to be, it's not gonna originate as public money, right? This
No.
isn't,
No,
okay, so it's money, that's private money coming into the nonprofit, then there'd be a short and sweet agreement that would say, it's private money, the money has to be set aside for the benefit of the village of Beach City and to ease the burdens of the village, and that the liability piece, which is hold harmless and indemnify the village against any liability.
but couldn't it also be set up, her committee, that between the CIC puts the money into an account just for that committee, so that they can continue their festivals every year and don't have to rely on trying to continually get more and more funds from other areas outside of letting the festival committee run itself through the CIC.
But actually, the CIC probably ought to be doing this themselves.
That's what I'm asking questions.
I mean,
don't know.
once we started talking about it, the CIC actually should be doing this, the whole thing, they should be in charge of this, you know. So that way they would have control of the money, and that way, then the village could direct them how to use it.
Well, the CIC has a separate fund. They have two separate funds. They have the actual CIC funds, and then they have the skateboard fund. The skate park fund. And the skate park people have already agreed that they are not gonna use that it can be put in the CIC fund. So they're gonna put festival money in the skateboard fund, separate from the actual CIC. So it will be a separate,
Just
account.
change the name on it.
Yeah, they're gonna switch the name on it, so it will be held separate from the actual CIC money, and it will have a separate actual checking account number. So there'll be CIC signer and the
I
festival.
thought that was resolved.
I thought so it was.
Well, it
too.
was resolved, they just never, they kept the money separate in case they needed to do a grant, they needed matching funds or something, it's the only reason they kept it out. But they'll have, somebody from the festival committee and somebody from the CIC will have to both sign the checks to pull from the festival money, is how they're gonna, is
Okay.
how they said they were gonna set it up, if they agreed to do it. So, it's they're kind of on top of that
Okay.
way.
What I was asking was, do we need some kind of papers drew up with that statement, or do we just put the money in there and put
I think Steve's right, I think
And that
we
was
need,
when Steve
you
said
need,
yes.
we need a
Yes.
legal agreement what's going on.
So, I mean, it could be a napkin, that everybody writes down what their understanding is of where the money's going and why it's going there. Everybody signs it, and it's gonna be 100,000 times better than what I remember you said and what I
Yeah.
remember saying to you.
It would be easier for you to write a paper, have it
Because I
signed.
don't think they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would do something that was really general,
Yeah, something.
so that they could use it for now and
Yeah,
all
'cause they
time.
don't-
Right.
Well, I know
They
because-
talk to council.
Take some kind of format.
Well, yeah, they weren't there when it all
Yeah.
started, I
Just
mean,
fill
when Terry
paperwork
Madden set
aside.
the whole thing up,
Yeah.
him and Jimmy Gill.
Because no one comes here and talks to council and asks.
Because the night of that
permission
meeting,
to
yeah,
spend
Terry went in
money.
great detail about, when they set
Yeah.
that up and what the function of it was.
Because Bev was always coming here.
Like I said, she's a
explaining what was
godsend.
going on,
Yeah, since she's been gone, there's no be.
you know.
And I'm not putting down the CIC or anything, no, because I know these people are trying and
They're
doing their
working hard,
best, yeah.
Yes.
Bev was just a natural when it came to this kind of stuff. She was a natural.
She'll be missed.
She is, definitely.
Definitely is.
Okay, do we have anything else? Going once, going twice?
So,
Sold